Sounds like the offense had some moments at today's scrimmage, but it sounds like the defense did what it's been doing for the last several seasons.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, I'm Zach Blackerby. He is Christian Rauh over at The Barn, as well as auburndaily.com. Christian, it sounds like pretty early on, Byrum Brown busting a 60-yard touchdown run against Auburn's elite defense. Sounds like there were some moments there for Byrum finding Keshaun Singleton, as well as a few other receivers. Heard great things about Xavier Newsome, but to me, like, the main guy that I talked to that was at practice thought Byrum Brown looked really, really good today.
Yeah, I cannot wait. Inject that into my veins. 60-yard touchdown rushes. How many of those are we going to get this year? Like, you got to think we're going to get a few of those. Some big rushes from Byrum Brown. Obviously, that's going to be main focus, and you're doing that against Auburn's defense. Yeah, count me in. I am all in. That was the most exciting thing I heard.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, so we got a few answers to some questions. Defensive back rotation. Seems like the starters at DB were 0, 1, 4, 5, and 22. So that means to me, Rashawn Pleasant and Andre Jordan Jr. at outside corner. And then 5 being Eric Winters, 0 being Sylvester Smith, and then 1 being Champ Anthony at nickel, I'm assuming there. So nothing super surprising there. I mean, I would have guessed Gavin Jenkins he does get an interception off of Tristan Tia. We'll get there in a second. Ramil at right tackle. It seems like Jacob Strand and Deryc Plazz rotated pretty often at left guard. I think that's the big question. That's the big position battle happening. It does seem like Strand was in first. Is that important or interesting?
I think it's important, and I think it's going to maybe turn into something that we don't get an answer to before the game. I think this might be one of those things that we go back on Sunday or Monday post Baylor and look at the snap counts and look at the grades and start to determine. I think this might be a rotating door for a little bit during non-conference play.
Just talking to somebody who was at the scrimmage, like, sounds like he spent a lot of time watching linebacker. And
who wouldn't want to watch Auburn's linebackers?
Yeah, for sure. Bryce Deas and Demarcus Riddick getting some rotation in with the ones, which, I mean, I think Deas is going to be that guy. He kept talking to me through it, saying like, all right, Riddick is having a hard time getting off blocks. And he told me like flat out, like, hey, I thought Riddick would be the guy that's everywhere. It ended up being Deas. And Deas is everywhere. So I do think that's interesting. I mean, I don't want to be dramatic from all this, but like just from what I've seen from practice and what we're hearing from the scrimmage, like I think Riddick is your 4th linebacker. I think there are 4 linebackers that can play in this system. But this whole like, all right, they're going to find a role for Riddick type deal. I don't know if that narrative is as strong now as it was even 2 weeks ago.
Is that a best case scenario thing, or is that concerning for you because of Riddick? What boat are you standing in right there?
I think it's perspective. Like, I think whoever wins these roles because of the competition of it, you feel pretty good about.
Right.
And there's also a chance, like, is Deas the guy that we thought Riddick could be? No, I do think Deas is going to be more rangy on the back end. I think I'm still a little surprised with how they're using Riddick, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I was a little surprised in the spring when he was as light as he was, because I kind of thought they would want to use him as potentially it's like an edge rusher buck type role. And that hasn't happened because that's what we saw him do as a freshman. Like, he was so good at it, but they continue to like want him to be the off-ball linebacker. So I don't know the answer to your question. Like, is it good or bad? Like, obviously, if Riddick was everything that we thought he would be coming out of high school, it's the best case scenario for him and Auburn. But it does to me seem like Deas is winning that battle right now.
And it sounds like he's playing more than just linebacker too. Like, it sounds like he's getting a little bit of work into nickel. Or is that more of just adding the extra linebacker into the mix? I know we thought about because of the depth of this linebacker room, we're going to see maybe that extra person hit the field. They feel comfortable with putting Deas there. I mean, and I'm even leaning more towards the best case scenario side to my answer to that question, just because he's a sophomore compared to Riddick being a junior. And although we want Auburn to be successful in the very first year of this Alex Golesh era, you do have to still look to the future and what he can develop. And having younger players get bigger roles never hurts, in my opinion.
Tristan Tia sounds like he threw 2 interceptions today. Was also told that he had 2 interceptions that were dropped by DBs. One of those picks was Gavin Jenkins. So let's just let that sit for a second. I'm going to say it one more time. Gavin Jenkins got an interception today.
Yeah.
Because why, Christian?
Because he's an NFL caliber quarterback. Should we start the piggy bank now? Yeah. What did I just say?
I think he said quarterback, but I may have misheard you.
No, cornerback. Okay, good.
They do sound similar.
Corner. Very true. Yes. If I did say quarterback, maybe he could play that too. But no,
I think
NFL caliber defensive back.
Gavin Jenkins.
Cornerback. That's right. Should we start the piggy bank now to build up the savings account we're going to need for all of the grading cards we're going to put in because he's going to be to your personal collection, Zach.
Man, if he's ever in Bowman, I am just yeah. Trying to think what else. 22 is locked down today, so that's Andre Jordan Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Winters is a thumper. Yep. Well, sent the note, can't run on Womack's side, but he didn't create much pressure. So I've questioned Womack's ability to rush the passer from edge. So that's not a surprising note. I think he's a solid run defender. Don't love him on 3rd and 8. I just don't. I would love for him to prove me wrong there. I hope he does. A lot of bodies moving on the interior. Did sound like 10 and 35 were in there a lot, which is Buddy Mathis and Dallas Walker. And then there's been this trend of Sigler like not being with the ones at times. Like we've seen that when they do like the full 11 like skeleton where they're doing like just a quick team drill. Mm-hmm. They're working on angles and all of that. And Sigler would go with the 3s. It's like, okay, whatever. And then he was with the 2s a lot today.
Golesh is really high on him. I mean, Spoker.
I don't think it matters.
All over the ball.
Yeah, I'm not reading into that. I just think it's interesting, worth noting.
The Womack thing is interesting to me because he says obviously he's doing a good job at stopping the run, the pass things. If he is out there on a 3rd and long situation, say the rotation calls for it, or everybody's tired out, he's got the opportunity to do so. Are you hoping that there's maybe a blitz to that side to help that? Like, what is you're in 3rd and 8, you're watching the game, you see Womack out there, it's an obvious passing situation. Are you hoping you get some help on that side? What's your mindset going there?
We've seen DJ Durkin not be afraid to blitz. So, I mean, regardless of who's at edge, there's a solid chance that somebody's coming, right? Whether it's X or Elijah or Deas or Riddick, whoever's in there. So, I mean, that's always the biggest question, and that's been a big question of mine at pass rush. Like, I feel so much better about Jared Smith, but is Auburn going to be able to get pressure rushing 4? I don't know.
Hope so.
I hope so too. There was something that they did at the scrimmage today that I absolutely loved. I think it's a big difference between the way this staff does things and the way the previous staff did things. And that's good. And it's next, right here, Unlocked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Indeed. Can you imagine hiring someone and not using Indeed, Christian?
Could you imagine just doing something that's just irresponsible? No, I would not think of anything like that.
When workplace chaos hits and you need to find the right hire, Indeed sponsored jobs is the way to go. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, that's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of the show can get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get that job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast, Indeed.com/podcast. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Kalshi, my favorite prediction market. I can't think of another prediction market I'd rather use, Christian. I mean, you can trade on anything, sports, current events. You can trade on like what the value of Bitcoin will be by the end of the day. Like, you can trade on anything, including Auburn win totals, And as we get closer to the season, I'm sure, specific games will pop up as well on Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market. Trade in and out of your position, trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app. Use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade $10 at Kalshi. 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 Trade on anything. Something we're seeing this staff do that the previous staff did not is make things as hard as possible on Byrum Brown in the offense. Pinning them back at the 1, starting drives in the scrimmage at the 1 and saying, hey, defense, go get a safety. And hey, offense, get out of it. Because if you can get out of this, you could start any drive from anywhere else on the field. And they're blaring music. They're making everything difficult. I mean, let's go back 12 months. We were trying to downplay, and this was wrong on our part. Like, we were very, very wrong because I thought there was no way this could happen. I thought there was no way all of the stories about Hugh Freeze babying and making it easy on Jackson Arnold were true. I was like, there's no way an SEC coach would do that. There's no way. And that was my reaction. And that happened. And it was not the right move. And so now you see Alex Golesh and his offensive staff saying, like, all right, let's make it as tough as possible for Byrum in this offense. And it did seem like the defense won in those scenarios, which is good and advantageous for the defense, sure. But man, I just love the fact that early in camp that's what they're doing. I think that's a pretty symbolic difference between what we've been watching and what we get to watch moving forward.
Yeah, so you're saying the old staff was laying it up into the fairway, but this one is going straight for the green. That's what you're telling me? Okay, great. I like that. You're actually focusing on things. Look, that's the only golf thing that I'll ever do on this show.
I thought you were going to say, like, all right, start your hole from the bunker.
Oh, yeah, okay. That could have been good. That was a good start. There's plenty of games last year you can look back at and think to why you'd want to do these type of scenarios. There was plenty of opportunities there's plenty of reasons where Auburn was putting themselves in bad situations offensively, and you could tell that they didn't really feel like they were too experienced to get out of it. How many drives did you watch Auburn's offense last year and just not have the confidence to think they're going to extend it? And then they didn't. Now you are
most of them.
And then you're working on this now in really hard situations, and hopefully that changes this year. Hopefully you have a different feel to those same type of situations that will likely still arise for Auburn in 2026. You're playing very tough competition. You still have to play Georgia. You still have to play Alabama. You still have to play LSU, Ole Miss. Those games are still on your schedule. You're going to put yourself in those situations. But now, can you get out of them? And you're actually practicing them, putting them in a tough environment against an experienced quarterback like Byrum Brown. Yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in for this situation.
Sounds like Singleton had a really good day today. I predicted that there'd be a receiver where it's like, yeah, that's the guy. Seems like it's Keshaun Singleton. And it sounds like his matchups with Rashawn Pleasant were very one-sided towards Keshaun Singleton. Obviously, there's two ways we can react to that. Oh my goodness, yes, Keshaun, or oh no, Rashawn. I don't think Rashawn, like, we've seen Rashawn Pleasant play. Like, he's fine. He's a fine corner.
And we haven't heard much about Keshaun this fall in the way that we were expecting it to. So the fact that he's shining in the scrimmage, I think, is the more interesting thing to focus on.
Yeah. Reading through everything else.
Golesh spoke about Bryson Washington a little bit after it, which I thought was interesting. How he said he actually finally had an opportunity to get out there and talk. And obviously Alvin Henderson was getting some opportunities to play as well on the running back side. So, look, I think it's still Cobb and Mapson, but I do think that running back 3 is going to be really interesting to pay attention to over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, Alvin scooted up a little bit today, it seems like. We'll see. I also wonder, like, what are the odds of, like, the relevancy of RB3 when it's all said and done? Because I do think RB3 can change from week to week.
That's fair. That's more than fair. I'm trying to figure out how many running backs did South Florida use last year.
I think they had a guy get hurt last year.
They did have a guy get hurt.
They skew things a little bit, but
which was, I think, Norton is the one that got hurt, if I remember correctly.
I think so, because
obviously
Byrum Boise.
Now Byrum had obviously 175 carries. They had 4 running backs with over 30 carries last year.
with over 30 carries. How many did they have over 50 carries?
3. And Norton was the only one that wasn't, and he's the one that got injured. So you can, so he had Isaac with 73, Franklin with 80, and Davenport with 98. So 3 of them with 73 or more carries.
Yeah.
I could see 4 with 50.
Not Byrum, like true running backs.
Yeah, because Norton was 32. So like if you put the average there, that's well above 50.
Would that have taken some away from somebody?
Yeah, even if you take some away from, like, say, Isaac or
you're still
Franklin
there.
or something.
Yeah, so obviously, like, we know who 2 of those are. I think Davenport's the 3rd one right now.
So then you wonder, is Bryson or Henderson get themselves into a 50 carry kind of season? And then you're also got to put yourself in a special teams role. We've heard about Alvin Henderson getting some good special teams, which is not anything to bat an eye out. That's obviously a very important facet of the game.
Yeah.
And I think he can make some noise there too.
I'd love for him to. I mean, he's a fan favorite because he's a good kid. So would love to see him get on the field. So, but look, I mean, the best case scenario is like if you get the Bryson Washington that was at Baylor last year and he's your 3rd running back, that is absurd. If you can get to that point, that is absurd. So I think you're in a good situation regardless. And like, I don't think Tay Meadows is bad either, by the way.
I think this is a very good running back room. This is
crazy.
To the point, like, now look, if Cobb got injured, I'm concerned because Cobb has done it at his own level. And don't get me wrong, I don't want that to happen. But if there was an injury to a certain position group, running back is not one that I'm really too concerned about because of the depth. That's how I feel.
Yeah. All right, great. Christian, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Yeah, over at the Barn Auburn, and you can find my written work at the auburndaily.com.
Please like the video. Please subscribe, and we will see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.